Hi everyone, I'm Lauren. I'm back again with another video, and I'm finally continuing with my top 50 games of all time series videos. A bit delayed, but yeah, no thanks to COVID and some other stuff, so yeah. If my voice sounds strange, then you know what to blame. Anyway, so this is part 2 of my top 50 games of all time, going through numbers 40 through 31. If you haven't seen the first one, I'll try to remember to link that in whatever the top below or wherever, all that stuff, and so you can check that out if you like. But yeah, you should know what top games all time is. Again, it's my list, so it's stuff I like. Anyway, enough waffling, let's get on to number 40. Number 40, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. So Twilight Princess, I know this one is a little bit of a love it or hate it type one. I'm definitely on the love side, obviously, and definitely part of it is that this is probably either my first or one of my first Zelda games. I just really like exploring around the world, especially as it opens up as you go through the game. I really like all the different towns you go to and interacting with the various townspeople, and just overall it feels a little bit more down to earthy, slower, I guess, to me. There's a lot of fun little side quests as well, and I like the dungeons and stuff for the most part. Maybe on a replay this might get lower, maybe higher, I don't know, but so far, but for now, right now, I definitely could say I really enjoy it. Oh yeah, the bonus in this one is that you can pick up dogs and cats, so yes. Number 39. Criminal Girls Invite Only. Okay, so this is another one of my weird anime kind of raunchy, silly, over-the-top games that I like. This one is kind of in a weird spot because I don't actually think I like the raunchy parts all that much, which take place as a kind of, I think it's called a punishment game thing, where you whip these girls, basically, and that's supposed to they learn skills and such. It's strange. And the censorship in the English version almost makes it worse in a sense, but I really like this for the actual turn-based gameplay. It has been a little while since I played it, so it's gonna be hard for me to describe it. But the battles feel pretty fast, and it has an interesting aspect to it where you have 4 of the girls in your party, and they each will suggest a different move to do. Instead of you decide each move for them. So you're always having one action a turn, and you choose one of the girls to do the action that they suggest. It's kind of hard to explain. And also the game does have some interesting aspects where you kind of go over why these various girls are in this prison type hell, I guess. I don't remember if they're supposed to be dead or not or what, but they all have a lot of their problems going on, and I do like characters and seeing how they improve throughout the game. That's kind of my big thing, and learning more about them, so I do like that in here as well. This one I suspect might go down in the future, because it has been a long time since I played it, but when I replay it, we'll see how it is. So for now, it's on number 39. Number 38, Bravely Default. Okay, this one I know a lot of people really like, turn-based RPG, and it's definitely going for that old school style of classic old RPGs, but it makes it more smooth and fresh and modern with the Brave Default system. It works really well. Now for me, I don't mind a lot of games with turn-based with turn-based mechanics, and I don't find them that slow, but it's just a really interesting idea. Like you can save up a bunch of your moves for later and you get a defense, or like you can stock up on a bunch of moves and hopefully kill or like stun or whatever the enemies sooner. It just adds an interesting layer to turn-based gameplay, and it's also really nice because there's a lot of options for if you want to grind, you can increase the encounter rate and then grind all you want, and if you don't want to do any battles, you want to go to the next story segment, you can turn them off, and it's awesome. And there's the job system with all this stuff, which I can't really figure out very well, but there's so many different things with the job system, and the story does take some interesting turns here and there, and more importantly for me, I find the characters really interesting. And a lot of different stuff going on. Oh, and it looks really nice too, so it's just one of those really good ones. I have not played any of the other games in the series, Bravely Second and Bravely Default 2, but I hope to play those at some point, hopefully soon, and see how they fare on the list, or you know, how they compare. Number 37, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's racing, and yup, Mario Kart. It's easily my favorite Mario Kart game right now. I haven't played too many though, to be fair. It's this and Double Dash, which I haven't played in a really long time, but it's just so bright, colorful, zoom zoom zoom, and I just love all of the different stages and characters, and even without the season pass, I think it is now. I'm not sure if I'll get that or not, but there's so much content here, and it's just a lot of fun. And I like the upside down gravity mechanic-y type thing that they added in this entry. It's just a blast. I don't really have much else to say with this one. I'm not really that good at describing racing games because I haven't really played too many, even though I do really enjoy them. But yeah, this one is definitely one that I absolutely love. Number 36, are Tonelico 1 and 2. So these two games are part of one of my favorite series, Tonelico. Now this is a series by Gust. If you don't know, they also make Atelier. But Tonelico is one of their older series that they haven't really touched in a little while. And the series is focused on these women. I think they're called Revitales or something like that. They basically do magic through song, and there's kind of this mechanic of you have other characters defend this woman with the song magic, and they have to charge up their magic and you defend them and stuff, and then they release this big bomb of magic. It's a little I'm having a little hard time describing things right now, but for me the biggest part, more than the gameplay, first one is more turn-based. Well, the first one is a turn-based, pretty strict turn-based, and the second one is kind of has some more turn action turn. It's a mix. It's kind of this weird middle. But more than that is the characters are king here, and the story, while there definitely is a story of like stop a thing from happening, or like uncovering this bad thing kind of thing, figuring out the truth of blah, the characters are really king here. These Revitale women all have these pretty deep-rooted issues that they have, often with how they're treated from being Revitales and stuff like that. You have to get to know them better in order for them to do better sound magic, because the better they're doing, then the better they do with the song magic, and you do a lot of this learning about them by it's like mind diving or something like that, and you go inside their mind sphere or cosmosphere. I don't know, there's a lot of jargon thrown around a lot and I can't remember. You go through their various traumas, and I think it's done extremely well. There's also just a lot of this pretty deep world building type thing with how you go through the world. It's not like it directly tells you everything that this world does or how it operates, but you kind of learn that through how things happen and as you go through the game. I don't know how to explain this, but it is interesting and I really love it. Now, I put both of these two on the same entry because unfortunately they both have really good bits and they both have really poor bits. The first one is maybe a little bit weaker on the story, and its turn-based gameplay, it might be a little bit too vanilla, I think, for some people. It's very plain. But I did find it, at least, to be a bit more stable and polished than the second one. And the second one, I definitely think the characters have more depth to them, and it does have a more interesting story, might be more interesting gameplay to many people, but the problem is Nipponichi, who did the localization. Well, they both have this problem, but I think too, it's more of a problem. There's a lot of translation issues and untranslated stuff, and very confusing bits due to that. And also, there is a soft lock bug in here that you can't really avoid unless you have to look it up to know what to do to get around it. It's a really big issue. Or you play a patched version of the game, like a fan patch version. So I can't really put one over the other really in my head. I have also played Artana Quagga, which is the third game in the series, but it is unfortunately not as good as nowhere near as good as the first two, so not on this list. But I have not played yet Ciel No Surge and Arno Surge, which are also in the same series, but we'll see how I feel about those when I get to those. Number 35. Tokyo Jungle. So Tokyo Jungle is a pretty interesting one. I believe it was released very early in the PS3's life cycle, and I think it was one of those big digital games that Sony was really pushing. I believe Sony developed it? I don't know. I don't remember. This is an interesting take on a post-apocalyptic survival type game. You're not you could be a person, I guess, but most of the time you're playing various animals in Tokyo, and you're trying to survive. If you're a herbivore, you gotta avoid carnivores and find grass and stuff to eat and avoid dangerous conditions throughout the environment. Carnivores, you have to hunt smaller creatures and stuff, and both sides you have to try to mate and continue your generations. Don't want your species dying out and all that stuff. And so a big part of this game is this kind of survive as long as you can. And then there's also a big part of this game that has some story to it. You find out what happened to Tokyo, why are the humans all dead, and stuff like that. You have a few different objectives in this mode. It's actually pretty engaging for something that's not supposed to be very story focused. This is definitely a very unique game that I can't think of anything else that's pretty similar to it. It is a little bit clunky, and it's a little bit gray and drab looking, but I do really recommend checking it out. Give it a look, especially since it's sort of a PS3 digital only game. There's physical edition with some other games that's a little bit on the pricier side, but once the PS3 store closes, which will be at some point, even though Sony doesn't have a date anymore for that, it will be at some point, then this will be one of the unfortunate victims of that, and that will be a big shame. Number 34, Baroque. So this is another post-apocalyptic type game. Wow, it's so hard to say. This one, however, is a more dreary action roguelike game. You travel through this big tower, and you're trying to find or get to the bottom or top. I don't know if it's the top or the bottom. You're trying to get somewhere in this bloody tower, and it's all procedurally generated, with really weird enemies, and what you find in the dungeon is pretty much random, like the weapons and things that you find. And it's such a weird atmosphere game, but it is intriguing. It is very strange, but I love it. It has a weird sense of humor, and it's definitely obtuse. Like, I don't know how you're going to get to the end of the game without a guide. I don't know. It's such the solution to some of the bits. I'm like, how would you know that? How would you know to do that? I don't know. So there's that, but it is an interesting experience that is not talked about a lot. Now, it's definitely not going to be for everyone. It is very janky controls-wise at times. Camera is definitely a little wonky. And again, it's pretty strange, so... and it's not gonna tell you a whole lot. But I really enjoy it for what it is. And one thing as well that makes this so high for me is I can't stop quoting some of the weird people that are in this game. I don't know why. It's so dumb. Some kind of dumb, silly. Like the tutorial guy that for some reason has to say "God damn it" at every end of their sentence. It says it in such a weird way. And there's another creature, whatever, that says "munchy crunchy, munch munch munch," and I keep saying that so much. And I don't know why that cracks me up. But anyway, it's a very dark, dreary type thing, but I don't know. I get a big smile on my face, especially since all these creatures look so silly. I don't know. I like this game. This is so hard to describe. Number 33. Ys Origin. So, okay, Ys. What do I say about Ys? So it's an action RPG series. I know it's very well loved. It's not a series that I've played a whole lot of, but the entries I have played, I do really enjoy, and Ys Origin is one of them. You're like climbing this tower, and you're trying to find goddesses at the top, or at least that's one route. You have a few different characters you can choose from. Each have their own kind of different play style, but I haven't played too much of all of them. But it's just a really fluid, nice bam bam bam. Kill the monsters, explore the dungeons, listen to the awesome music. This one I feel like doesn't have too much in the way of story or characters, but this is definitely a case where the gameplay really makes it king for me. It's just so good. It's also a very nice length for an RPG. If you don't want something too particularly long, then you can play through one of the routes if you like, and I don't remember how long it is, but I don't think it's much more than 20 hours. It's probably less than that, perhaps. And then if you want a longer experience, you can play one of the other routes, and they have parts where they cross over and you get the bigger picture and all that stuff. So yeah, it's one that I really like. Number 32, Trauma Team. Oh man, this series. So Trauma Team is the newest, latest game in the Trauma Center series where you're saving people. You're this surgeon type person, and people got broken bones. People have organ transfusions or whatever. Save the lives. Trauma Team is a little different from most of the other entries in that you're not just a surgeon, you also have a few other different specialities that you play as. Like there's an endocrinologist or whatever. They have a tube thing that they push around. I don't remember, and I forgot some of them, but there's one that's more of a detective-y type person, and then there's one that's more of a diagnostics type person. So it does have a little bit more of a variation here. But regardless, I love this series, and Trauma Team is definitely one that I really like. We'll see if it's my favorite one or not. You'll have to tune in to another episode to find that out. But it sounds like a boring concept, but it's done in such a way that it's this intense, almost arcadey action style gameplay, and it it just gets really, really intense. Now, definitely in here, some of the specialities are not as great as other ones, but it is nice to have a variety. And as well, there's a pretty good story, I think, here. A lot of different characters. Of course, their different stories kind of merge together. Wow, all the different pieces of the picture. There's this overarching greater peril type thing, and gotta figure out medical stuff. And it's overall just a really good time. The really unfortunate thing, though, is that this really needs a sequel. Like, I feel like this would work really well on the Switch. So Trauma Team is on the Wii, so it has the motion controls and the pointing stuff, and it does that really well. It's one of the better Wii games, I think, to do that. And I feel like the Switch could do that just fine. So Atlas, who develops these, I believe, or they just publish, I don't know off the top of my head, please make another game, though, please. And number 31, Metal Slug, or at least the Metal Slug games that I played, which is 1, 2, X, and 3. It has been a little while, so I can't really rank these games separately, but the Metal Slug games that I have played are really silly, over-the-top, action-y, pew pew pew. Often you have the little tank thing. Is that the Metal Slug? I don't know. It has a neat sense of humor. It looks great. There's definitely levels here and there that are pain in the butt to play through. But if you want a good, quick, action-y, arcadey style fun time, I feel like you can't go wrong with any of these 3 or 4. Well, I think X is slightly different from 3, or is it 2? They're similar games, but there's differences or something like that. I don't know. They're all fun. I enjoyed all of them. Whew, that was way harder than it should have been. I'm going to blame COVID for that, so I'm sorry if I glossed over things or didn't explain things very well, but those are my numbers 40 through 31. Let me know in the comments below if you've played any of these, your thoughts and all that stuff. Maybe tell me some of your favorite games of all time. That'd be great. So hopefully I'll be able to get the next video for this series out sooner, but whenever that comes out, please look forward to that. And yeah, anyway, thank you so much for watching. Hope to see you again in another video. Bye!